What if I told you that the 1990s weren't just about grunge, VHS tapes, and arcade machines? It was also the golden decade for the most iconic motorcycles the world has ever seen. From Japanese beasts that flew low to legends that defined a generation. Today, we're taking a trip back in time to relive the 7 motorcycles that defined the 1990s and still get hearts racing to this day. The 90s were a decade of excess, transitions, and technological madness. The internet was just a baby, but CAD design was already starting to make its way into motorcycle factories. The Japanese were going all out, dominating the global market with engineers who slept in sleeping bags next to the test benches. Meanwhile, Europe wasn't falling behind. Ducati was turning out beauty from its factories as if Botticelli himself were designing engines. In that context, brands fought to the death over 3 things: speed, design, and balance. Some bikes made history not just because of their performance, but because they defined what a real motorcycle was. And those are the ones we're bringing you today. Number 7, Kawasaki Ninja ZX-7R. We're starting off with a cult classic, a bike that was never the fastest in a straight line, but when it came to corners, oh man. The Kawasaki Ninja ZX-7R, launched in 1996, was the direct heir to a line that had been roaring since the late 80s on the World Superbike Championship tracks. The ZX-7R wasn't for just anyone. Its design screamed track day from every angle. Fairing as sharp as a katana, Kawasaki green frame that could blind you in the sunlight, dual front headlights with a killer stare, and a riding position so extreme it would leave your kidneys shaped like an L. This was a bike designed more for the track than for everyday use. It had a 749 cubic centimeter, 4-cylinder inline, liquid-cooled DOHC engine with 108 horsepower. But beyond the numbers, what really won you over was the feel. A bike as stable as few others, with a firm chassis and surgical precision when entering corners. It wasn't a rocket on the straights, but in the corners, it felt like it was on rails. Many private riders chose it for its balance, reliability, and performance on the track. Even the ZX-7R version, which was the street homologation for Superbike, came with a close ratio gearbox, adjustable Showa suspension, and a Nissan brake master cylinder straight from hell. Today, it's a unicorn sought after by collectors, and the best part? It became a niche legend. It wasn't as mainstream as the CBR or the R1, but those who owned one still worship it. On forums and Facebook groups, at meetups, there's always someone who says, "I had a 7R and I still dream about it." Because this Kawasaki wasn't just a bike, it was a statement of principles. I don't want the newest thing, I want what truly feels real. And that, in this world, is worth gold. Number 6, BMW R1100 GS. And now we put on our trekking boots because it's time to talk about a bike that didn't want to go fast. It wanted to go far. The BMW R1100 GS, the adventure bike that showed up in the 90s and said, hey, it's not all about speed. You can also cross half the planet without breaking your back or breaking the bike. In 1994, BMW went all out with this machine. A boxer engine with 1,085 cubic centimeters, air and oil cooled, 2 opposed cylinders, overhead camshaft, and 80 horsepower, which might not sound like much, but man did it pull. The torque was 97 Newton meters at 5,500 RPM, and the total weight was close to 240 kilos ready to ride. So it wasn't exactly lightweight, but it was indestructible. And check this out. It was the first GS with electronic fuel injection and came with a 5-speed gearbox, a single dry plate clutch, and shaft final drive, which made it perfect for going around the world without having to lube a chain every 300 kilometers. But the big change was the telelever system, a BMW invention that separated steering and suspension functions, reducing front-end dive when braking. The result? More stability, more safety, and less fear of going into a curve too fast with all your luggage. The chassis was also unusual for the time. A steel structure with a bolted-on rear subframe designed to last until the Himalayas rust away. And on top of that, it came with optional ABS, which was very advanced for '94. It was tall, it was heavy, it was ugly to some, but it was the Land Rover Defender of motorcycles. A machine built to survive the zombie apocalypse and keep going like nothing happened. Best part? It laid the foundation for the modern adventure bike phenomenon. Without this beast, today we wouldn't have the Africa Twin as we know it, nor the Multistrada, nor the boom of Max Trails. It was the mother of them all. And like a good German mother, she didn't hug you, but she would take you to the ends of the earth. Number 5. Suzuki GSXR 750. Race and moment, ladies and gentlemen, because if we're talking about bikes that marked up before and after on the track and on the street, the 1996 Suzuki GSXR 750 is like that friend who seems calm until you see him pop a wheelie in first gear, waving with one hand and grinning inside his helmet. This beast had 128 horsepower, 750 cubic centimeters, 4 inline cylinders, liquid cooling, fuel injection, and weighed just 179 kilos dry. Just so you get an idea, it was lighter than many 600s of the time, but it gave you a kick more worthy of 1,000. It was the perfect balance, a bike that wouldn't kill you if you knew how to ride, but would reward you if you really knew how to push it to the limit. And it wasn't just about the numbers, it was about geometry, an aluminum twin-beam frame, adjustable suspension, real brakes. Suzuki had invented the Gixxer concept back in the 80s with the legendary 1985 GSXR 750, but in the 90s, they sharpened it like a katana forged by a Japanese blacksmith who drinks sake and cuts steel with his eyes closed. Light, agile, fast, stable. You had a sport bike that you could actually use on the street and take to the track without touching a single bolt. In amateur championships, the GSXR 750 was a weapon. It won races, earned respect, and won hearts. Because it didn't just give you performance, it gave you confidence, which is something many more powerful bikes can't manage. Nowadays, it might be a bit overshadowed by the GSXR 1000 with its 200 horsepower numbers and space-age electronics. But those who know, the purists, the ones who grew up smelling gasoline and burnt rubber, still tell you the same thing. The 750 was the real deal. It was that bike that didn't need to shout, it just did its job, and did it perfectly. Number 4. Kawasaki Ninja ZX-R 1100. Year 1990. The Berlin Wall had just fallen, the world was breathing a new air of freedom, and Kawasaki decided to do its part with a two-wheeled beast. What if we make the fastest production motorcycle on the planet? They said, and they weren't joking. That's how the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-11, or ZX-R 1100 in Europe and Japan, was born. A 4-cylinder engine with 1,052 cubic centimeters, DOHC, liquid-cooled, fed by 40mm carburetors, and featuring a ram air intake system that was groundbreaking at the time. The result? A claimed 147 horsepower, but on the dyno, it was closer to 150. In a world where sports cars were still flirting with 200 horsepower, this bike was already way ahead. Top speed, 280 kilometers per hour. In 1990, that was insane. It was the fastest production motorcycle in the world for 6 years straight, until the Honda Blackbird dared to challenge its throne. But no one forgot that the ZX-R 1100 was the original queen of modern speed. However, it wasn't just about speed. The ZX-R 1100 was a true sport touring bike. Comfortable seat, huge tank for long trips, great aerodynamic protection and straight-line stability that felt like a bullet train. It could devour entire highways without breaking a sweat and without wrecking your back like a pure sport bike would. Aesthetically, it wasn't as aggressive as an R, but its sleek, flowing, and muscular design commanded respect. Standing still, it looked like a luxury GT. On the move, it was a silent missile. Today, the ZZ1100 is remembered as a silent legend. It doesn't have the rebellious aura of the Hayabusa or the cult following of the ZX-12R, but among true enthusiasts, it's revered. It was a mature, powerful bike that didn't need flashy colors or radical shapes to get attention. In short, the ZZR1100 wasn't just a speed champion, it was the first touring superbike that truly worked in the real world. And that's really saying something. Number 3. Honda CBR600R Fireblade, the revolution on two wheels. Year 1992. While the world was listening to grunge and switching to Windows 3.1, Honda showed up in the superbike world like someone tossing a grenade into a library. What they did was so unexpected, so disruptive, that the engineers at Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki just stared in silence with a raised eyebrow, like, what the hell did these guys just do? The CBR600R Fireblade was the work of the legendary engineer Tadao Baba, a guy who understood something nobody else was seeing, that power is useless if the bike weighs as much as an industrial washing machine. So Baba took an 893 cubic centimeter engine and put it inside a frame so light it looked like a toy. Basically a muscled up 600 with the soul of a superbike. The result? 124 horses of pure rage with a dry weight of just 185 kilos. Yeah, in a world where superbikes easily topped 220 kilos, Honda unleashed a steel feather that flew low. And it wasn't just fast, it was agile, twitchy, precise. It was like a Bolshoi ballerina, but one that would knock your teeth out if you missed a step. You had to know how to ride it. The Fireblade wasn't for just anyone. It was the first bike that prioritized the power-to-weight ratio over sheer brute force. Up until then, superbikes were like tractors on steroids, powerful but clumsy. Honda said, what if we make one that corners like a 250 but accelerates like a demon? The impact was immediate. The magazines of the time didn't even know how to rate it. It was like a Formula One car hitting the streets. In comparisons, it went up against bigger bikes and always came out on top for agility, lap times, and confidence in the corners. The legacy, huge. Thanks to the Fireblade, the concept of the superbike changed forever. Brands realized it was no longer just about raw power. You had to think about balance, centralized mass, about how a bike handled with 20 kilos less. From that moment on, every R, every modern leader bike owes something to the Fireblade. It was the founding mother of modern superbikes, the turning point, the before and after. And even though we remember it with nostalgia today, back then it was something that scared people. It stared at you from the dealership as if to say, are you sure you know what you're about to do? Number 2, Ducati 916. We're entering sacred territory. Stand up. In 1994, one of the most influential motorcycles of all time was born, the Ducati 916. It wasn't just a motorcycle, it was an Italian sculpture on two wheels. Designed by the legendary Massimo Tamburini, the same genius who would later create the MV Agusta F4, this red beast redefined the meaning of superbike. The engine was an L-twin with 916 cubic centimeters, liquid-cooled, 4 valves per cylinder, and Ducati's typical desmodromic system. It delivered 114 horsepower, which in the 90s was insane for a twin cylinder. But the most impressive thing wasn't just the numbers, it was how it delivered them. It was a mechanical symphony. I swear, when you hear a 916 revving up, it makes you want to hug an Italian engineer. But the design? Oh, the design. Angular lines, bodywork sharp as a razor, twin front headlights that look down on the Japanese bikes with disdain, single-sided swing arm, twin exhaust under the tail, a detail that changed sport bike design forever. It was so beautiful that if you left it alone, it would take selfies of itself. It won 4 Superbike World Championships between 1994 and 1999 with Carl Fogarty and Troy Corser. But beyond that, the 916 achieved something very few bikes have. It transcended the world of motorcycling. It was on posters, in modern art museums, in music videos, in movies, and even in the wet dreams of industrial designers. It was the bike that put Ducati on the global map, not just as a motorcycle brand, but as a kind of Ferrari on 2 wheels. It wasn't the fastest in a straight line, but in the corners, it would slice you up like bologna mortadella. To this day, no Ducati has been as influential in both aesthetics and philosophy. Every single angle and curve of this machine looks like it was meticulously sculpted by Michelangelo himself if you were wearing a racing helmet. This is a legendary bike that not only went incredibly fast on the track, but it also made the heart of absolutely anyone who looked at it beat significantly faster with pure adrenaline. Taking the prestigious #1 spot on our list today, the iconic and incomparable Yamaha R1 Superbike. Let's get comfortable, because now we're talking about a bike that truly broke the mold. The 1998 Yamaha YZF-R1. This bike didn't just surprise people, it defied physics. When the R1 hit the market, it was like a lightning bolt streaking across the superbike sky. And the most impressive thing was that it did it with brutal lightness, extreme agility, and performance that left everyone speechless. In 1998, the world of superbikes was dominated by big, heavy bikes that often sacrificed agility for power, until suddenly, Yamaha decided to go against the grain. Instead of sticking with the same formula, they decided to create a bike that had the best of both worlds. The agility of a 600, but with the power of a 1000. The R1's engine was a beast, 998 cubic centimeters, with 150 horsepower at 10,000 RPM. But what really left everyone stunned was its weight. Just 177 kilos dry. That made it lighter than many 600cc bikes at the time. To put it in perspective, some of the most popular bikes of that era weighed over 200 kilos. And even with that weight, the R1 rode like a 250cc bike on a couple of steroids. But the magic wasn't just in the engine. Yamaha managed to fit all of that into a short, compact chassis, which made it incredibly agile, almost as if it were made of air. Making it both light and powerful turned it into a revolutionary bike in the leader bike category. With the R1's design, Yamaha didn't just change the game, they changed the whole playing field. The other superbike manufacturers had no choice but to rethink their approach and follow in the R1's footsteps. No one expected a bike with those specs to be so agile and at the same time so explosive on the track. The rivals simply couldn't compete. The R1 wasn't just the most coveted bike of the turn of the millennium, it became an icon. Its looks, its sharp lines, and its presence on the track made it legendary right away. And even though years have gone by, the R1 is still a cult bike, a motorcycle that set the standard for superbikes over the next 20 years. Today, the 1998 Yamaha R1 remains a benchmark, a dream for any motorcycle enthusiast who lived through that era. It wasn't just a fast bike, it was a statement of intent. The most advanced, fastest, and most desired bike, and it continues to leave its mark on the world of superbikes, a before and after in the history of motorcycling. And like any good 1990s show, we couldn't finish without a bonus track. And in this case, it's not some oddity or crazy idea from Japanese engineers. It's simply the most beloved bike of the entire decade, the Honda CBR600F, the bike that didn't come to show off, but did everything right. Originally launched in 1987, but refined to the extreme in its 1991 and 1992 versions, the CBR600F, also called the CBR600F2 in some markets, was the Swiss Army knife of the sport bike world. It had a 599 cubic centimeter engine, 4-cylinder inline DOHC, liquid-cooled, with about 100 horsepower at 12,000 RPM. And it weighed 185 kilos ready to ride, which made it pretty light for its time, without being as twitchy as an RR. And how did it feel? Imagine a bike that could take you to the office, to the mountains, or to a track day without ever complaining. It had a more relaxed riding position than pure super sports, but enough bite to really have fun if you pushed it. It was super smooth at low revs, but wild at the top end, like a good grunge band. It starts off calm, but when it explodes, it shakes your soul. Its chassis was up to the task. Perimeter steel frame, conventional front suspension, dual disc brakes with 2-piston calipers. Nothing exotic, but everything was really well tuned. It was a noble, predictable bike that forgave mistakes, perfect for those just getting into the world of sport bikes. And that's its greatest achievement. The CBR600F was the gateway into the sport world for an entire generation. It was the bike for those who wanted something fast but didn't want to get themselves killed. It let you enjoy the speed without throwing it back in your face if you made a mistake. A lot of people learn to ride well on one of these, and even today they'll tell you, my first real bike was a CBR600F. And what about the looks? Well, it wasn't the most aggressive or the sexiest, but it had its own charm. Smooth lines, full fairing, and those 80s color schemes that now make us feel both nostalgic and a little warm inside. Some came with pink accents, others with graphics that looked like they came straight out of an aerobics VHS. But hey, that was part of the charm. The most impressive thing is that it was a huge sales success, especially in the United States and Europe. For years, it was the best-selling 600, beating out its more radical rivals like the Yamaha YZF7R or the Kawasaki ZX-6. Why? Because the CBR was like that friend who never lets you down. He wasn't the life of the party, but he was always there when you needed him. In short, the CBR600F was the total package. Sporty without being uncomfortable, fast without being intimidating, as reliable as a Honda coffee maker. Maybe it didn't take your breath away like a Ducati 916, but it always put a smile on your face. And that, my friends, is worth more than 20 extra horsepower or a stopwatch full of records. Today, many people look for them to restore or simply to feel that perfect mix of nostalgia and usability again. Because the CBR600F wasn't a shooting star, it was a loyal companion, a bike that didn't need to shout to be heard. In the end, motorcycles aren't just numbers, spec sheets, or stopwatches. They're stories, they're moments. Those Sundays with friends, that one perfect turn, that trip you still remember with a smile. The bikes from the 1990s weren't just machines, they were life companions, each with its own character, its flaws, its virtues. Some made you tremble with fear, others hugged you like an old friend. But all of them, absolutely all of them, left an indelible mark. Maybe today we see them as relics, as classics, as old bikes, but back then they were the future and made us dream of speed, of freedom, of rebellion. They made us feel alive. So if you ever had one of these bikes or dreamed of having one, this video is for you. Because it's not about the power or the top speed, it's about how they made you feel. And if that's not iconic, then I don't know what is. And if you want to know everything about the Yamaha R1, click on this video and I'll see you there.